Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
1. Introduction. Hello, we will read a story. This story is about a special time for many people. It is a time called Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Adha is a very important festival. People around the world celebrate it. It is a happy time, a time for celebration. It is also a time for remembering something important. It is a time to think about faith. Faith means believing strongly in God. This festival helps people remember a very old event. It is an event from a long, long time ago. The story is about a good man. His name was Ibrahim. People call him a prophet. Prophets are special people. They receive messages from God. Prophet Ibrahim was a very good man. He loved God very much. His story is important. It teaches us about faith. It teaches us about trusting God. Eid al-Adha is connected to Prophet Ibrahim. It is a way for people to remember him. It is a way to remember his strong faith. The festival happens every year. It is a time for families. It is a time for friends. People wear new clothes. They go to special prayers. They share food. They help people who need help. All these things are part of the celebration. But the main reason for Eid al-Adha is to remember. It is to remember the story of Prophet Ibrahim. His story shows how important faith is. It shows what it means to trust God completely. The story is very old, but the lesson is still important today. Eid al-Adha is a reminder. It reminds people about obedience. It reminds people about sacrifice. Not just giving things, but giving from the heart. It is a time to feel close to God. It is a time to be thankful. This book will tell you the story of Prophet Ibrahim. It will help you understand why Eid al-Adha is so important. It will show you the lesson of faith. It is a story of a test. It is a story of trust. It is a story that people remember and celebrate with joy every single year. So let us begin the story of Prophet Ibrahim and the special event that led to the festival of Eid al-Adha. It is a story of a father and his son. It is a story of a dream. It is a story of strong belief. It is a story that teaches a great lesson about faith in God. 2. A special dream. Prophet Ibrahim was a good man. He loved God very much. He always tried to follow God's path in his life. One night, Prophet Ibrahim was sleeping peacefully in his home, but then something special happened. He had a dream. This dream was very different from the dreams people usually have. It felt incredibly real. It felt like a clear message. Ibrahim woke up from his sleep, but the dream stayed clearly in his mind, like a vivid picture he could not forget. He knew immediately that this was not just a dream from his own thoughts or feelings. He felt strongly deep inside his heart that this dream was a message coming directly from God. God speaks to prophets in special ways to guide them and test their faith. Ibrahim felt certain that this dream was one of those important messages from the Creator of everything. The message in the dream was surprising. It was also very serious, perhaps the most serious message Ibrahim had ever received. God was asking Ibrahim to do something incredibly difficult and demanding. The dream gave a clear instruction, a divine command. But the instruction was hard to understand at first because of how difficult it seemed. It asked for a great sacrifice, a sacrifice that involved someone very, very close to Ibrahim. Ibrahim thought deeply about the dream after he woke up. He spent a lot of time thinking quietly about it. He prayed to God for understanding and strength. He wanted to understand exactly what God wanted from him. He knew that messages from God are always important. They are always for a good reason, a higher purpose, even if they seem hard or strange at the time they are received. Ibrahim felt in his heart that God was testing him with this dream. This dream was a major test of his faith and his obedience to God. How much did he truly trust God's wisdom and plan? Would he obey God's command, even if it was the most difficult and painful thing he could ever imagine doing in his life? The dream was a serious matter. It was not something he could ignore or forget easily. He thought about the meaning of the dream again and again. The message was about his son, Ismail. This made the dream even more serious and emotionally challenging for Ibrahim. His love for his son was great and deep, as any father's love is. But his love for God was even greater and deeper. He knew, with absolute certainty, that he had to put God first, above everything and everyone else in his life. Ibrahim spent days thinking about the dream, meditating and praying for guidance. He needed to be strong enough to face this command from God. He needed to be absolutely sure he understood God's message correctly and completely. After much thought and prayer, he confirmed in his heart that the dream was truly from God, a divine instruction. Now the difficult part was accepting the message fully and preparing himself to act according to God's will, no matter the cost. The special dream was the beginning of a very important journey for Ibrahim. It was the start of a great test of faith for Prophet Ibrahim. He felt the immense weight of God's command upon him. He knew deep down that he had to obey. Even though the message was incredibly hard, Ibrahim trusted God completely with all his heart and soul. He prepared his heart and mind for what was to come, understanding the seriousness of the situation God had placed before him. The dream was a clear call to show his complete obedience and his deep trust in God. It was a serious message, and Ibrahim took it very seriously. He thought deeply about the meaning of sacrifice, faith, and obedience to God. He knew his life was about to change forever because of this special dream from God. He understood that this was a moment that would define his faith and become a lesson for people for many years to come. He continued to think about the dream, preparing himself for the next steps, knowing that God's plan was unfolding through this important message given to him in his sleep. 3. A hard choice. Ibrahim understood the message from God. It was very clear now. He knew deep in his heart that he must obey God's command. This command was incredibly difficult. It was perhaps the most challenging thing he had ever been asked to think about doing in his entire life. Ibrahim loved God with all his being. He also loved his son, Ismail, very much. The message from the dream asked him to do something that would test his faith and his love in the biggest way possible. Ibrahim spent time thinking and praying. How could he possibly do this? But he kept coming back to the same truth. He must obey God before anyone or anything else. His faith and trust in God were the strongest parts of him. He decided he needed to speak with his son, Ismail. It was important for them to face this together. He found Ismail and sat down beside him. Looking at his son, whom he cherished, made starting the conversation very hard. Ibrahim took a slow, deep breath. He began to tell Ismail about the dream he had seen. He explained that he felt strongly that the dream was a direct message from God. Then, with a heavy heart, he told Ismail exactly what God was asking him to do according to the dream. Ismail listened quietly and carefully to his father's words. He was a young man known for his good character, his patience, and his strong faith in God. When Ibrahim finished speaking, Ismail did not show any sign of fear or sadness. He remained calm and thoughtful. He understood that a command from God was the most serious thing possible. Ismail looked into his father's eyes. He spoke with a clear voice, full of respect and willingness. "Father," he said, "do exactly as God has commanded you to do. Please do not worry. If God wills it, you will find me to be patient and strong." These words showed great courage and deep faith for a young person. Ismail was just as willing to obey God as his father was. He placed his complete trust in God's wisdom and plan. He also trusted that his father was understanding God's message correctly. Ismail's brave and trusting response made the situation easier for Ibrahim in one important way. His son was ready and willing to obey God too, but it did not remove the pain of the command itself. The thought of doing what God asked was incredibly difficult for Ibrahim the father. Yet seeing Ismail's strong faith gave Ibrahim more strength. They both shared this deep, unwavering belief in God. They both desired to please God above all else in their lives. Ibrahim felt a mix of difficult emotions. There was sadness because of the command, but also a sense of peace because his son showed such willingness and faith. It was truly a hard choice, but they faced it together, guided by their shared faith in God. Their decision was made with love for God and with complete trust in God's plan, even though they did not fully understand why God asked this. They prepared themselves to follow God's will exactly. Their faith was tested and they chose obedience. 4. The test. Ibrahim and his son Ismail got ready. They knew they had a very important thing to do. It was a command from God. This command was very hard for them, but they had strong faith. They prepared their hearts and their minds. They made everything ready for their journey. They knew this was a test of their trust in God. They started to walk. They went towards the place God told them to go. It was a long walk. As they walked, someone came to them. It was the devil. The devil wanted to stop them. He did not want them to obey God. He went to Ibrahim first. He spoke bad words to Ibrahim. He said, "Why are you doing this? This is too hard. You should not obey God this time. Think about your son. Don't do it." The devil tried to make Ibrahim afraid. He tried to make Ibrahim change his mind. But Ibrahim did not listen to the devil. He knew he must obey God's command. Ibrahim stayed strong. He did not let the devil stop him. The devil did not give up. He tried again. He went to Ismail. He spoke to the son. He said, "Your father is going to do a very difficult thing. He is going to follow a hard command. You should be afraid. You should tell him to stop. This is not right." The devil tried to put bad thoughts in Ismail's mind. He tried to make Ismail doubt God's command. But Ismail was also very strong in his faith. He knew God's command was important. He trusted his father and he trusted God. He did not listen to the devil's words. Ibrahim and Ismail stayed strong together. They helped each other. Their hearts were full of trust in God. They did not let the devil stop them. The devil tried 2 times to make them disobey. But both times Ibrahim and Ismail showed great faith. They continued their journey. They were ready to do what God asked. This was a big test for both of them. They showed their strong faith and their deep obedience to God. They walked together, ready for what was next, trusting completely in God. 5. A big surprise. The important moment arrived. Ibrahim stood ready to follow God's command. His heart was full of faith and trust. His son, Ismail, also stood bravely by his side. They were both ready to do what God asked. It was a very difficult time, but their faith was strong. Ibrahim held the tool he needed. He looked at his son. Ismail looked back with peace in his eyes. Ibrahim felt a deep love for his son, but he loved God more. He knew he had to obey God above everything else. He took a deep breath. He prepared himself for the hard task. Just as Ibrahim was about to act, a voice called out. It was the voice of God. God called Ibrahim's name. The command was to stop. Ibrahim stopped immediately. He listened carefully to God's words. God told Ibrahim that he had completed the test. God said Ibrahim had shown his great faith. He had proven his willingness to obey God completely. God was pleased with Ibrahim's obedience and trust. Ibrahim felt a wave of relief wash over him. Ismail was safe. God had shown his mercy. Then Ibrahim looked and saw something nearby. God had provided an animal. It was a ram, a male sheep. God told Ibrahim to sacrifice this ram instead of his son. This was the surprise from God. Ibrahim was so thankful. He took the ram and sacrificed it as God commanded. Ismail stood safe beside his father. The test was over. Ibrahim and Ismail had shown their deep faith and obedience. God was happy with them. This event showed the great mercy of God and the strong faith of Prophet Ibrahim. 6. Why we remember. The story of Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail is very important for many people. It is a story about faith and trust in God. It shows us how strong faith can be, even when things are very difficult. The story shows the deep faith of Ibrahim. He believed God completely. He was ready to do what God asked, no matter how hard it was. This is a big lesson for everyone. It teaches us about obeying God and trusting that God knows best. It also shows us about Ismail. He was a young boy, but he was also very brave and patient. He trusted his father and he trusted God. His willingness to obey God is also a very important part of the story. It shows that faith is important for people of all ages. God showed great mercy in this story. He saw that Ibrahim and Ismail had true faith. Because of their obedience and trust, God provided a way out. He gave a ram to be sacrificed instead of Ismail. This act of mercy is a key part of why people remember this event. It shows God's love and care for those who obey Him. The main lesson from this story is about obedience and trust in God. It is about putting God first in our lives. This lesson is so important that people remember it every year. The festival of Eid al-Adha is a time when Muslims all over the world remember this story. Celebrating Eid al-Adha helps people to think about the faith of Ibrahim and Ismail. It helps them think about their own faith and how they can be more obedient and trusting towards God. Remembering this story helps to keep its lessons alive. It connects people today to the time of Prophet Ibrahim. By remembering, people learn about the importance of sacrifice, not just of an animal, but of things that are difficult for us in order to obey God. It is a time to be thankful for God's mercy and blessings. Eid al-Adha is more than just a celebration. It is an act of remembering a great test of faith and the mercy that followed. This is why the story is remembered year after year, teaching important lessons to new generations. 7. How people celebrate. On the morning of Eid al-Adha, the day feels special. People wake up early. They feel happy and excited. It is a day for celebration and thinking about important things. The first thing many people do is get ready. They take a bath and put on their best clothes. Often, these are new clothes. Everyone wants to look nice for this special day. Then many families go to the mosque. There are special prayers for Eid al-Adha. People stand together and pray. It is a time for everyone to feel connected and thankful. The mosque is often full of people on this day. After the prayers, a very important tradition happens. It is called Qurbani. This tradition remembers the story of Prophet Ibrahim. As part of the celebration, people sacrifice an animal like a sheep or a goat. This act shows their obedience and thanks to God. The meat from the animal is not kept by one family. It is shared. This is a very important part of the celebration. The meat is usually divided into 3 parts. One part of the meat is for the family who made the sacrifice. They cook it and eat it together. Another part is given to friends and neighbors. People visit each other on Eid, and sharing food is a big part of these visits. The third part of the meat is given to people who are poor or do not have enough food. This is a way to help others and make sure everyone can celebrate Eid al-Adha and have good food to eat. Sharing the meat is a sign of kindness and community. It shows that people care about each other, especially those who are less fortunate. It is a way to remember the spirit of giving and sacrifice. So, celebrating Eid al-Adha includes praying together, looking nice, performing the Qurbani tradition, and most importantly, sharing the meat with family, friends, and people in need. These actions make the day special and meaningful for Muslims around the world. 8. A time for everyone. Eid al-Adha is a very important time. It happens after another special event. This event is called Hajj. Hajj is a big journey. It is a journey to the city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Many Muslims who are able go on this journey. It is something they try to do once in their life. Millions of people travel to Mecca for Hajj every year. They do special prayers and think about their faith. Eid al-Adha comes right after the Hajj journey finishes. Hajj is for the people who are in Mecca, but Eid al-Adha is different. It is a time for all Muslims. People celebrate it in many countries all around the world. It does not matter if they went for Hajj or not. Everyone can share in the happiness. Eid al-Adha is a time for being together. People like to visit their family and friends. They travel to see their parents, brothers, sisters, and other relatives. It is common to have big family meals. Everyone shares food and talks. Children often get new clothes and gifts. It is a time of joy and thankfulness. Sharing is a big part of Eid. People share food, especially the meat from the sacrifice. They give some to their family, some to friends, and some to people who are poor. This reminds everyone about helping others. Many people also give money to charity. This helps people who need food or clothes. It makes sure that poorer families can also celebrate Eid and feel happy. The celebrations can last for a few days. During this time, there is much happiness and laughter. People remember the story of Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail. They remember their strong faith and obedience to God. Eid al-Adha helps people think about these lessons. It is a time to be grateful for what they have. It is a time for community, for helping, and for remembering the spirit of sacrifice that the story teaches. It is truly a time for everyone to feel connected and happy.